What's going on, everybody? Today I want to give a little bit of like a heart to heart. So let's just jump right into it. Hi, I'm Danny Rubio, video producer here at Online Creator Studios, and we are excited to have you here at Online Creator Studios. Our goal is to help you get into the content production space, whether that be photography, video, podcasting, freelancing, whatever it may be. That's what we're here to do. And before we get into the video, I wanted to let everyone know that if you, in the description right now is a place where you can sign up to join our community. It's free. We want to grow it and make it a place where it's for those who really want to learn, people who have questions, people who want to be able to connect with other individuals and maybe collaborate. We want this to be a great resource for you. I know that sometimes when you go to Facebook, it's sometimes hard to get what you're looking for, even like a sense of community. We'd love to have you. So check out the description down below. I want to share my take on the fact on freelancing, going as in video production as a career, and give you a little bit of like a backstory. So this is who is Danny Rubio and his history. First up, I want to let you know. So I'm first generation Mexican American. Both my parents are from Mexico, and so I knew early on that I wanted to go to college. Not necessarily because it was like the thing that I felt like it needed to happen, but I just felt like, well, I know people say that statistics is if both parents have a college degree, that the likelihood of their children getting more money and doing well in their life is much higher. But also because like it's kind of like a metric to say like that in America, especially when I was growing up, it was a big metric to say like, oh, you graduated college, good for you. But I've always loved movies. For a while, I wanted to be a special effects technician, but I'm not very good with my hands. My dad could attest to that. He would always try to take me to job mechanical with the car stuff and whatnot. Sorry, Dad. Took a media class. It was great. I loved it, but I didn't have the money to buy CC. And as you may know, a lot of people ended up bootlegging Premiere Pro and some of the Adobe products. And that's just something that I didn't want to do. So I just didn't really do a lot of video production until I got in college, was able to buy my first MacBook, my first camera, started just recording videos and posting them. And that's kind of what YouTube came out in 2007. iJustine, Tobuscus, Epic, Mealtime. I don't know if you guys remember that, early days of Rhett and Link. I found a lot of those individuals and they were just inspiring because I saw that they were creating cool things. And to me, what YouTube brought to the space was the fact that like there was no longer a middleman or a barrier into creating a story or creating some sort of vision and bringing it to life and posting it. And that's something that is, I think, pretty amazing still to this day. That we have these tools like YouTube or even Instagram, TikTok, and all these, in TikTok particularly, creating a new generation of creators. I went to a year of college, kind of like looked at a couple options and realized that I could major in digital media. I went away for my church for 2 years to go talk about Jesus Christ, help people feel his love. It was wonderful. Came back, went to Weber State, and started doing my degree in digital media. I gotten very involved in the program there. It was a fantastic program. And if I gotten very involved in the program there, it was a fantastic program. So I did digital media, not film degree, which I really appreciated because I got a lot of hands-on work. I was able to participate in like the TV station, and I was executive producer over the TV station, meaning I was helping organize and doing some things with other classmates. It was a really fun time. During that time though, I started freelancing. Creating content and making a living off of content is a very different ballgame. So I wanted to share with you some philosophies that I've kind of come to adopt, especially early on. One thing I want to tell you is if you're early on in your career, if you have the ability to offer some free work, great. However, I tend to lean to figuring out, okay, what is the standard like day rate? And if you're starting out, maybe like cut it in half. Think of your initial projects as day rates rather than hourly. Don't ever charge yourself hourly unless you're helping some other person, some other team, and like they need to have an hourly setup. But usually, even then, they end up doing a day rate. They say, we have a half day shoot, what's your rate, right? So if you're charging 500, you say, you're like half day is 250. Maybe when you're starting out, you're like, well, I need 250 for the full day because I'm doing there. But once you get one project on your belt, then you charge 500 because you've completed a project. Just because it may not be as good as, let's say, like mine, and I'm not that good, or the person next to you, you've completed a project and you've been paid and you're a professional now. That's something I want you to remember that like the moment you get paid for something, you're now a professional. I freelanced a lot in college. I did all sorts of projects, and to my recollection, I don't remember ever charging for an hourly rate, or like, hey, I'm going to do this. I charge hourly and then trying to book it, because like you get into, there's a whole bunch of like headaches. You're asking the client to pay you to be slow, and if you're fast, you're not getting paid for your efficiency. You've done a couple projects, you're gonna get faster at it. That means you can maybe get to the point where you were even just 2 months ago sooner, and be able to like make that video just a little bit better, because the goal is to have every project be 1% better. You know, there's a term in Japanese like language called Kaizen, which is getting 1% better every day. Every single time you do a project, you will go, even if you do a project like a month ago, you can go back and look at that video and be like, wow, was it that bad? And it's not that it's bad. It's just that you've grown. Finish that project, you've learned, and you know you're going to do a better project the next time. And it's not that you shouldn't look back and not appreciate, like always hate your content. Be appreciative of the growth that came from doing that project. When you're first starting out, coming back again to the fact that like as a freelancer, as someone who's getting started, the times you should do something for free is if you really just need to do something. You like don't know exactly the best way of going to do like a project, right? But you want to learn, and there's not like, maybe there's not like huge stakes. If there is stakes, even if you negotiate for $50, you're going to have a different your mental prep on that shoot is going to be different, because you're like, this is they're paying me and I want to provide them value. Not that if you do it for free, you're not going to do that. But I just find that when you're getting paid, you want to go just that extra little bit to make it just a little bit better. And it might be more for you than for them. You might have done the exact same sort of piece of work, but mentally, you're going to try just that extra harder, in my opinion. Let's say you've gone for a couple of years when it comes to freelancing and pricing. I'm still learning. I'm still struggling with this aspect. But to me, I kind of figured out where some people want a lot of the projects that I end up doing for companies and some brands. So I kind of figured out a basic package of like, this is what the average of the projects that I do kind of end up being, letting people understand the range. So Chris Do, who's on The Future, does some great content, and he shares that like you should always give people a range. That way you're not pigeonholing yourself into something. So maybe past year you've been charging $500 for like day rates, but you've now finished, let's say, 10 videos. Good job. You want to do, let's say, 25 videos, okay, this coming year. So what you could do is you could say, well, I know that all my videos right now have averaged 500, or my day rate has been 500, but it took me most of these projects took me about 3 or 4 days to edit. So taking into understanding, and again, this is something that when you're first starting out, maybe 500 for all of it is great. But you have to take into account like editing days and revisions. When you go in, you have to say, okay, this is my day rate for shooting. And shooting might be a little bit less, but day rate for editing could be a little bit more, because there's a lot, you're having to spend more time in trying to craft something, right? If it's something quick, I understand, budget accordingly. Have maybe different rates. Say, hey, this is for social, this is for more commercial work editing. You have to have some sort of music licensing, so take that into account. If you are renting gear, right, you might have to pay for that. But if you purchase gear, start putting that as a rental, like, hey, like part of my pack, when you reach out to people and they say, hey, like at the beginning of the year, I usually do it in April, saying, hey, you guys have worked with me in the past. I just want to let you know that I will be increasing my rates, and this is what some of my new rates are going to be. So you give people an expectation and they can kind of understand. Totally okay to do that. Like, let people know you're showing to them that like, I value who I am and value that like I've learned because of you. But that means that like I have other expenses now. Let that be a thing that you reevaluate every single year. Let's say it's been 6 months and you've done a couple projects and you've done it for 500. That's for the video production and for the editing. Let's talk about what happens next, okay? In production, once you have 6 months, that's a good chunk of time. Even if you've done only, let's say, 3 videos, you've worked with people, you've shot and you've edited and you've delivered a product, right? Now you can start saying you have editing skills, you have shooting skills, you have producing skills. These are all great skills to have. So now reevaluate. And it may be that like the person that you worked with might, as the second job, wants to come back and do another project. You might negotiate, have a little bit more, maybe say 700 or 750, and they'd be like, well, why the increase? You can say, well, I purchased a camera, and so I want to make sure that's part of my cost and rental gear in that package, right? Or even like, I've gotten better with my editing and I can make a better video for you. I think I tend to lean to the idea of like helping craft a better video than I'm really good at editing. You're trying to help them understand that you're trying to provide them a better product so that their goal with that video is fulfilled. Increase a little bit there, right? By the end of the year, and let's say you get a new client, you say you just start at 750, or you say maybe you want to get to that $1,000 range. You say, hey, maybe you're like, okay, I'm gonna charge 800 for this project. This is what I charge for this other thing. Unless like you're asking for a referral, I've never had a client say, well, what'd you charge on your last project? It's just I just let them know like, hey, my average is this, and sometimes I up that average because that's where I want to move to next. But you could also say, well, projects that I work on range from $600, so that's like maybe the lowest you want to go, to $1,000. And that gives the client or the person who's asking for a video option and say, oh, okay, well, what do I get for $800? Well, you can say, well, I can shoot it and I can deliver up to this amount of video, or this is the video I end up doing, plus one social edit or something like that, and one revision. You got to start including revisions because you may have learned by now that people are like, well, can I have this changed? And that's one of those things that you don't realize. Like if you're that's the only time I've ever recommended saying go into hourlies, when if you get to a point where you've done, let's say, 2 rounds of revisions and they want even more, letting them know, hey, I'm going to start charging hourly, and it's going to be a high number, because really you don't want to do that. Like they should, all this stuff that should have, the goal is to have a lot of that information done prior to the video shoot. Where am I at? I'm still learning and I'm still trying to get better at practicing. But what I've learned is that like I follow what I've said. I kind of have a basic package that is, standard. Might be an ad video, maybe it's a social video, like a YouTube type longer form 2 to 3 minute video. Then I usually do additional like 2 social cut downs, 30 seconds or less or whatever. But I give people ranges. I say like, look, depending on the project, it may be $3,000 or it might be $10,000. If I talk to somebody and I get a sense, I might say, well, it's about $6,000 because I know that that's the lowest I want to do for that project after some conversation. And on the high end, it's going to be $15,000. And when they were like, well, I can have a bigger crew with a little bit more of a budget. I can hire a voice actor, or I can bring on another crew member when we do a video shoot. I can rent maybe a stronger light to get a more stylistic lighting setup. I'm going to be straight. Anyone can make a really great video with just their phone. Any camera you get these days, you can make a video and you can make money with it. Difference really comes in the craft, right? Whether the pre-planning, the execution on the day, and the editing, and more importantly, delivering on the client's goals. What is the goal of the video that they want to accomplish? It's okay to not freelance and just go into a corporate job or like a full-time job. I did that. I did that for 7 years of my career. I was working as a full-time video person in some capacity in a job. Worked in news for 2 years. I worked at a university for 3 years. I worked for 2 years in like smaller marketing teams and a marketing agency. I'm now freelancing, and I've always been freelancing as like some additional income. The thing is like what I really appreciate about me going that route rather than jumping right into freelancing right away is it allowed me to get better at my craft, at learning other skills that I learned a little bit, but got better at because of the jobs that I did, and learning to understand some other aspects that in a safer environment that I was getting paid for. Was it glamorous work? Absolutely not. But I didn't care. I just wanted to make videos. And that might be you. If you just want to make videos, like there are other routes. When I got hired at my news station, I had to have a degree. So like going to college, I had to have that. There might not be that barrier. You might be able to get a job now with just a skill set after learning a couple of things. I'll be honest with you. I once heard the advice that if you're going to do wedding videos, it does pay pretty good. But then you're going to be known as the wedding guy or the girl, right? If you're going to do wedding, you're going to be known as the wedding person. I didn't want that. I just wanted to be known as the person who can help make videos happen. And so I got a job in news. I didn't take a ton of journalism classes. I had to learn a lot. I made a ton of, not a ton, but I made several mistakes while on the job that got me like some pretty harsh hate on Facebook, but I learned a lot. I learned a ton of skills that I'm so grateful for. In this industry, it is a hard industry, especially if you're going to go the more traditional commercial and like cinematic route. It is gig based. You're going to be, you might have a couple of jobs here and you might have a couple of jobs there. I decided to have a family and I wanted to provide an income. Even though the income wasn't like the best when I first started out, or even for the first 5 years, it was like barely making anything. I was able to have insurance. I was able to get paid. I was able to grow and learn. I said, okay, I'm going to take this job. And it was always trying to get better. There are lots of routes to this career. Maybe it's training videos for a company. I did an internship at or for an accounting CPA education firm where all they did was create education videos so CPAs could pass their exams. It was brutal, but I learned how to be efficient in my editing in Final Cut. I also learned how to work with professionals when I worked at UVU. I learned that like video doesn't always mean has to be an ad. Like video can help reduce the cost or reduce the friction when it comes to for support. It can be huge for a business to create videos to answer or to address some of the biggest concerns that people have, because then it's a little bit extra than just like a frequently asked question page, right? Every single thing that I've done has helped me to learn and to grow. I'm trying to learn how to grow a business, how to grow to get better clients and that sort of thing. And it's a journey. I know that it's not easy to talk about money, but you got to get comfortable with it, especially if you want to do it for long term. Get comfortable saying like without flinching, yeah, I charge $3,000 or I charge $7,000, right? Even that for me is like, man, should I be charging that? But yes, you should. Every single project that you do, every single project that we do as like creatives, whether that be graphic design, whether that be music producing or whatever, you're gaining better skill sets, whether that be a new technique or just getting faster and more efficient because you've done the thing, you're learning how to get to that process faster, is growth. This is something every single time you do it, you get better at it. And sometimes when you don't do it for a while, you have to be reminded, oh crap, I remember how to do this, right? You do it so you can continue getting better at it. I know this is probably a longer video, in that if you've stuck with me this far, I appreciate it. Truly, if you want to have questions or whatever, like join our community. That's where I want people to ask some of these questions, maybe get some feedback. But whatever you do, don't charge hourly. Believe in yourself. Know that every single time you produce a video, you're getting, or create a photo, or finish a podcast, or help someone produce for a bigger shoot, you've gotten better and you're worth more. I'll see you guys in the next one.